So there's a little girl. It's the middle of the night. There's a thunderstorm. And she's scared. And she runs into her mommy's bed. She dives under the covers. And her mommy sweeps her into her arms and she says, it's okay, it's okay. Mommy, I'm scared. Mommy, I'm scared. It's thunder, it's light. Mommy, I'm scared. And the mommy says, I'll just say a little prayer. And she sweeps her up in her arms. She puts her back into her bed, gives her a little kiss, tucks her in. A few minutes later, another clap of thunder, another bolt of lightning. Little girl runs out of her room, dives into the bed of her mommy and daddy. And her mommy says, it's okay, honey, it's okay. You don't have to be afraid. God's going to protect us. Just go back into your bed. I'll pick you up. Took her in her bed, gave her a kiss, tucked her in, put her stuffed animal next to her. Another clap of thunder, another bolt of lightning. The little girl runs into her parents' bed. And she says, I know, Mom. I know what you're going to say. But sometimes you just need God with skin on. God calls us to be God with skin on in our world. And if we want joy in our relationships, we need to be that servant heart of God. We need to be that heart of God that looks at each person and sees the face of Christ within them. We need to be that person of God that is not jealous if somebody else succeeds, but we rejoice when somebody else succeeds. We build each other up instead of gossiping, instead of trying to tear each other down to make ourselves feel better. That will never bring us joy. Never. And so, if you've been doing that, check it out. Let go of it. Try to be God with skin on. The fact of the matter is, it's really hard for us sometimes to find the gifts that we have. And if we don't discover the gifts that we have, we don't share them with the world. And if we don't share them with the world loses. The world misses out because God created each one of us with certain gifts. And if we don't discover them, and if we don't share them, we all suffer. So laughter is awesome. Okay, not only does laughter cleanse your eyes, laughter creates dopamine in your brain, gives you a rush and a high. Laughter is a great core exercise, like belly laughs, they're the best, okay? Laughter is cathartic, it's cleansing. My young friends, you have to learn to laugh at yourself. If you're taking life so seriously that you never laugh, this is unhealthy. It is very hard to love yourself if you can't laugh at yourself. Laughter is important. It's a great way of coping. It's a great way of dealing with the fact that you are not perfect. And neither am I. And that was God's plan. God didn't make any of us perfect. He made us to be interdependent. Second part of the greatest commandment is love your neighbor as yourself, right? And so who's our neighbor? Everybody. So we're supposed to be loving everybody. Doesn't mean we have to like everybody. Please understand the difference. I don't like some people. That does not make me bad. And some people do not like me. And that does not make me bad. But if I don't love everybody, I'm not following the greatest commandment of love. Jesus did not say, you got to like everybody. He says you got to love everybody. When you might be thinking, isn't love just a stronger form of like? Well, in our language it might be, but it's really not. When you like somebody, you like hanging with them. You like them. You have the same kind of energy. You complete each other's sentences. You watch the same movies. You read the same books. You like the same activities. But even if I don't like Zach, I can love Zach. And listen to this, if you don't already know this definition of love, it's the best thing for friendship. To love, St. Thomas Aquinas says, to love is to will the good of another. And even though I'm never going to hang out with Zach, we're never going to have dinner together, we're never going to catch a movie, I'm going to want what's best for Zach. I'm going to choose to love Zach. I'm going to celebrate when good things happen to Zach. I'm going to want what's best for Zach. You know, my friends, if we choose, and it's a choice, to love one another, we will have joy. If we choose to love one another, we will have joy. But don't get trapped into thinking that everybody has to like you, because then you'll be sad. You'll feel like you're less than. You're not going to feel good enough. You might even feel invisible. You do not have to like everybody, and everybody doesn't have to like you. But that doesn't make anything wrong with anybody. That's the beauty of the mosaic, that each of us is uniquely different. And we have to choose to be kind. We have to choose what is best for each other. We have to choose to love one another. We don't have to like each other. So get your head around that, because that's big. Because a lot of times people will fall apart. They'll melt down. They'll get so depressed because somebody doesn't like them. And they'll think something's wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with them. That person just doesn't like you. It's okay. It doesn't make anything wrong with you. They just don't like you. So please, you'll be less depressed and more joyful if you can get your head around that. But you can do some things in your life to increase your chances of finding authentic love. It's the reason I wrote this book. Because I was tired, so tired of people actually believing that real love wasn't possible. Because there are struggles in our world, in our morality, in trying to decide when sex is right and good, if sex will help us find love. The struggles are in here, and the plan is in here that will help increase your chances of finding authentic love. Because it's real. It's real. We just have to find it, see it, and contribute to it, and believe in it. Healthy, loving relationships are possible. When we love God, we become better at loving one another. And if we don't love that person in the mirror, if we've done something to get popular or to be accepted, and everybody else loves us, and we look in the mirror and we don't love the person that we see, then we're not the person God created us to be. And we need to ask for forgiveness and help. Don't try to do life by yourself, ever. Don't ever try to do life by yourself. So you know, life is not easy, is it? It's not. But it's beautiful. It's exciting. It can be joy-filled. If and only if you become the person God created you to be. And when you slip and when you fall and when you fail, don't think that God doesn't love you, even if you start not loving yourself. Go to somebody and say, pick me up. I'm on a downward spiral. I don't believe I'm worth anything. I have a whatever attitude, a life sucks attitude. What difference do I make? What difference does it make? Everything. It makes a difference. Because we are the family of God. And each one of us, each one of you, is equally important as the next person. And I don't want you to doubt that. You know, St. Augustine said there's a God-shaped hole in the heart of every one of us that can't be filled by anything else if we're going to have God's love and joy and peace that He desires for us. I'm going to ask you to think about what you're trying to fill that God-shaped hole with. sports, friends, drugs, alcohol, porn, gaming, whatever you're trying to fill that hole with, I'm going to ask you this question. How's that working for you? If it's not bringing you joy, it's not God's plan. You need to be the person God created you to be. And you need to find your goodness. And you need to forgive yourself when you mess up. And you need to believe that God loves you no matter what you do, good or bad. And you need to believe that people who love you, your parents. Now I'm hesitant to say this because my mom was mentally ill and prescription drug addict and highly abusive. So I want you to understand, I know some parents are not the best at loving. She was the best she could be, though. I came to understand that when I got to spend the last month with her before she died. And we told each other things we'd never told each other because I knew she hated me. She told me she hated me. And it wasn't like in an anger, like, I hate you. No, she hated me. It was kind of a hard thing to accept. But I found out the joy in forgiveness. And when Mom died, I loved her, and she loved me. And it was hard. But it was a beautiful celebration, as I watched her eyes go from the anguish of fighting. I swear, I don't even believe this to be true, but I experienced it. It was like there was this battle between good and evil that went in my mom when she was dying. For 7 days, she was screaming. And there was some noise that she was hearing, and she was going, no, no. And finally I was saying, no, 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 along with her. And I was praying the rosary with her, and I was playing songs on my iPhone, Be Not Afraid. I go before you always. And then there was peace. And there was a smile. And I knew that she was brave enough to step toward this God who loved her all along. And she won the battle. And I know she's in joy and peace and love with Christ, even though her life did not reflect that. Find people who love you unconditionally, and if it's not your parents, find another adult who you trust. But don't blindly trust, because there are people that take advantage of hurting people in our world. So find somebody that you know loves you and trusts you. Okay, you're going to pray for grace in your life, and this is my acronym, okay? If you want to find joy, just pray that grace goes all over you. And the grace, and I'm not going to have time to develop because we're out of time, but G in grace stands for gratitude. Gratitude. Be grateful. R in grace is for relationships. Feed them, nurture them. Show love to one another, acceptance of differences. A stands for awareness. Notice each other. Make eyeball to eyeball, heart to heart contact with one another. Awareness. C is for compassion. Compassion. Walk with, feel with, connect with one another. Trying to put yourself into somebody else's shoes. And I live by this motto, which I heard years and years ago. If I don't like you, it's because I don't know you well enough. And if I meet somebody on a bad day, I'm probably never going to get to know them, because who wants to hang out with somebody on a bad day? Think that's who they are. But if I met you on a good day, and you and I were already tight, and you had a bad day, guess what I would do? I would say, oh, she's having a bad day. Or he's having a bad day. Isn't that the truth? So give each other do-overs. Give each other second chances like our God does. And look for friends in places that you might be surprised where you'll find them. Compassion. And the E is for embrace. Not just physically embrace, but embrace opportunities. Embrace disappointments. Embrace challenges. Embrace the fact that as long as we're breathing, we can choose to change. We can become better at loving one another. We can be better at loving ourselves if we look in the mirror and forgive ourselves for the mistakes that we're bound to make because God didn't make us perfect. He gave us the sacrament of reconciliation, and he promised us his unconditional love and mercy. Let us pray. Dear Lord, help us find the purpose to each breath, so that we will understand that as long as we are breathing, we can choose to change and grow into the unique person each of us is created to be. Help us reflect God's love and mercy in the world in a way totally unique to us. Help me have eyes that see the best in people, a heart that forgives the worst, a mind that forgets the bad, and a soul that never loses faith in God.